Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today Michael B asked me to brew around the card Living Wish, which lets you get a creature or land from your sideboard and put it into your hand. Now, historically, Living Wish is a little slow by Legacy standards, and so I was kind of tasked with finding some way to make this reasonable. And I haven't been super happy with Living Wish in sort of a fair package, like as, say, part of a Nick Fit deck. And one of the other things that I thought was pretty good to do with this was to like throw it in an Enchantress shell where it can get you an Enchantress or a Destiny Spinner or whatever. But I didn't think those were particularly competitive. So let's take a look at the list that I'm going to play for today. And as an aside, this is probably a good time to mention that today's video is sponsored by Play EDH, the largest Discord server for webcam EDH games, and we'll take a look at them in just a few minutes. So I found this black-green mid-range deck list, and I did a little bit of tinkering with it. And I'm seeking to make these Living Wishes feel unfair. And to do that, I want to make sure that I have a combo piece, or preferably multiple combo pieces that I can get from the sideboard. So we're going to be playing the Witherbloom Apprentice combo with Chain of Smog as option 1 in this deck list. The idea being that you cast a Chain of Smog targeting yourself, and then each time you go and copy that spell, you drain your opponent for 1. So this is an infinite combo that wins the game that requires an investment of 4 total mana, and can happen on turn 2 if you happen to have a Dark Ritual. Combo number 2 that Living Wish is going to get for us is Opposition Agent. Now, Opposition Agent denies your opponent a search, and as we've tried, sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully on this channel, Maralen of the Mornsong can lock your opponent out of the game. They don't get draw steps anymore, and everybody gets lightning bolted. And if your opponent's not drawing cards anymore, and you get cards from your deck, like, you're probably winning that game one way or another. So as far as other fair things that Living Wish can fetch out, we have specific answers to problems in the format, like Merit Lodge, or maybe the things from the various, like, Bobble decks, 8-cast decks, and then just a handful of otherwise hateful cards. Shifting Ceratops being the big FU to blue decks that exists in this format. And we're going to have a handful of copies of other things that'll make us decent versus control, like Grist the Hunger Tide and Sylvan Library. Kind of backing this up, we have a suite of some discard spells of various costs, as well as a little bit of removal. I'm trying a Sheoldred's Edict in this deck because honestly I just want it to get countered so that everyone in my comments who goes and says, why aren't you playing Sheoldred Edicts? So I can point to that and go, that's why. That's why I'm doing this. So this is for you, comment friends. This is the league where we prove Sheoldred's Edict is bad. No, seriously, it's like a perfectly reasonable legacy card. One kind of cute thing with Living Wish that I'm doing here is I'm playing a Grief in the board, so that we can convert Living Wish into a turn 2 discard spell, albeit a very clunky one. If we're playing against something that's just way faster than us, like, like a Reanimator deck or something like that, we can Living Wish for a Grief, pitch a card from our hand, and while it's not the best value-oriented play, it might be what we need to survive another turn to get to Hardcasting and Endurance, or to work towards comboing off, or whatever. With that being said, I think let's go ahead and jump into the league here. If you're new and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. All right, first hand here is a land or a Dark Ritual short of, I think, being a keepable hand, especially on the draw. I'm just going to ship that. This is not a very good Dark Ritual hand. I probably throw back Dark Ritual and keep the hand, trying to play a fair game. C'est la vie, right? How bad is this? Honestly, not that bad. That could have been way worse. Yep, that's fine. Honestly, Chalice of the Void on 0 in the dark against me is like totally legit as a play. So now that I'm not casting Thoughtseize on turn 1, I'm just going to play Prismatic Vista. That way, if I get Blood Mooned, I can have both of my colors. We are probably playing against some sort of Moon Stompy deck list. Trinisphere is fine. It makes my Snuff Out worse, though. I should maybe fetch before my draw step. Guess that doesn't super matter here. I'm hoping the board is empty of creatures. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, finishing the thought. I'm hoping the board is empty of creatures when I go to play Grist. There is a forest. In case I draw I have black cards in this deck list, right? I do. I have Hymn to Tourach in this deck list. In case I draw Hymn to Tourach, I guess I have... No, in case I draw exactly Hymn to Tourach, I don't want to fetch again here. Okay. Since I did not draw Hymn to Tourach, I can now fetch a forest. Go ahead and throw a Grist into play. Just go ahead and plus, get a critter. And next turn, I can hardcast a Snuff Out on whatever creature my opponent plays out. If they play out a creature, it is a Fable. Which is pretty good value. I think I just get rid of that now. Opponent's Trinisphere is quite good here. I think I'm going to go ahead and junk that. In case my opponent is on some Yokel Hops type nonsense, where they do need to get to 6 mana specifically, I think I just go ahead and take this out now. I'm not the biggest fan of lowering Grist's loyalty here, but I don't have the full texture of what my opponent is doing yet. Okay. 6 mana. Yuri. That's pretty legit. So this will kill my opponent as of next turn. It is going to require me to tap out. Or not tap out. Like, tap down my resources for this turn. I only get one thing at a time here. I will eat 6 damage. I think I just wait a turn. I like wait till my opponent casts a spell. I've just got bad vibes here. Just doesn't feel safe to take an action as of right now. So then upkeep. We'll go ahead and just hard cast this. Kill the Fury. And I just want my opponent to cast some stupid spell so that I'm safe comboing off. Annoying. We'll find something to do with this. Oh, no, we won't. Palace on 2 is quite good here. May have missed my window by playing around something like Dead Gone. It's okay. Let's see how it goes. Oh, my mic is up higher than normal. Well, there's usually a 3.5 and a 4 setting, and now there's only a 3 and a 4 setting. So that'll become future Phil's problem to figure out. We'll leave it at 4 for the time being. All right, opponent, what do you have? Another Fury is rough. Yeah, I may have played too safe. All right, land drop pass. Fury will just kill me in 3 turns. More likely 2 in a lot of timelines. That's fine. That actively helps me, in fact. Because it means that I never have to fetch to turn this into a mana source. Yeah, I need like a removal spell for that Fury. Another Trinisphere doesn't do anything. I'll go to 1 here. Yeah, I bottomed out. I will concede. Maybe I shouldn't have played around removal and I should have just gone for it, but just really felt like my opponent had some sort of like Dead Gone Punishing Fire type card. I don't mind having another one of these in the deck. Haven't seen the like goblin type stuff. It may be in there. Thoughtseize is perhaps not at its best. Fine when I'm on the play, I suppose. My life total will be pressured by Sylvan Library in a lot of cases. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. My life total will be pressured in many cases, making a Sylvan Library a little bit of a risky proposition. I'm going to get another one of these in here, just as another random removal spell, which is kind of slow in this matchup. I think I'm going to get rid of a Wish and just bring the Witherbloom back in. If I draw a Wish, it just turns into a big body or a Death Toucher or a land. That's not the end of the world. I don't feel like these are particularly great either. I'm gonna bring in one Shifting Ceratops just as a curve topper. This has access to multiple basics, a removal spell into a removal spell into an uncounterable thing. This is unexciting, but fine. Alright, we'll go Vista pass. Alright, looks like my opponent's just going to make a land drop and call that good. I think I'm just going to thin the deck of a land here. I know that I always want Swamp. Am I just playing this out? I think so. That means playing this land. Okay. But yeah, I will go ahead and just use my mana in this turn cycle and be happy enough with that. Hey, there's the card that I played around last game. Still don't know if it was correct to just go for it, but it very much felt like it wasn't. Like, I might have lost the game for not going for it, but I don't really regret it. Okay, there's the goblins. So I will want Plague Engineer next game, now that I have seen those for sure. Damn. So this is where I want them to sacrifice a non-token creature. Eldred's Edict stands in the audience are losing their minds. Street cred is evaporating. I have to retire as a content creator. Fine, taking the one from this token. Alright, and my opponent is chilling. Multiple Chain of Smogs. Not the greatest right now. I think this is a basic swamp. And then I'll drop Bayou. Throw Shifting Ceratops into play. It's possible that playing Grist is better despite the fact that it's not mana efficient. I'm kind of hoping to draw another land next turn and go to 5 mana to go ahead and play Grist and then Chain of Smog afterwards. I will be able to do that. Maybe. Because this... I need to pay a green to give this Rample. We'll see if my opponent blocks or not. Okay, no blocks. Alright, so I will get to take the initiative. Pull a forest from my deck. So it's a little awkward. I probably play Grist, fling this, destroy Caves of Chaos Adventurer, Chain of Smog the remaining things out of my opponent's hand. They'll Chain of Smog me back. I'll discard my hand. I don't need to copy this now. I'll pass the turn. And then if my opponent draws a land, they can both take initiative and kill Grist. Otherwise, they're left with the choice. Okay, they are going for me rather than taking out the Grist. And they're going to Scry. And we're chilling. I'll go ahead and plus this, pass the turn. My position is not the worst, but I probably am going to get wrecked by, yeah, something like that. Now they get the 4-1. They're just going wide of what I'm doing. Yeah, that's annoying. I probably have to block here. Trade for that. And hope to... Not the worst, honestly. But I think this game is just over. Like, I can snuff out this Caves of Chaos Adventurer, but I can't take the initiative back, meaning that my opponent gets to Throne of the Dead 3. They get 10 looks at something like another Fury or Endurance, or not Endurance, another Fury or Caves of Chaos Adventurer to just kind of take over the game. And at this point, like, I lose the Grist in combat, and about the only way I win involves back-to-back top decks of combo pieces, I think. Yeah, because this is just 12, potentially all 15 next turn, even with the blocker here. So I am comfortable conceding here. GG. Today's video was sponsored by Play EDH, which is the largest Discord server for finding webcam EDH games. And kind of what makes them cool is they have these preset power levels that you build at, and they do like sort of mini deck checks on you to make sure your deck level is the appropriate power level. And that creates really good, balanced games. Even if they did tell me I had to take some of the cool cards out of my Preston combo deck, I did still have a great time playing with them. So consider checking them out. Alright, Round 2, I'm on the draw. I have an early stuff out. I have multiple 3-drop creatures. The hand's like not fast. Maybe I keep it since I'm so likely to draw a 1 or 2 drop that I can play in the first couple of turns. And like I've got insulation versus a deck like Reanimator that abuses the graveyard. Yes. I'm now going to need to draw another green card though. Yep, there's one endurance down. Okay. Alright, they're just fetching now in case I draw exactly Dark Ritual. That's perfectly fine. There is the green card that I was talking about. It's a little weird for whether or not I cast that next turn. There's the Entomb. There's a Grizzlebrand in Yard. Cast your Animate Dead. Even better, cast your Exhume. Oh god, Exhume would be so fucking good for me. Alright. Pitch Sylvan Library. Junk your graveyard. I don't blame them for going for it there, by the way. Like, I miss on a green card a huge portion of the time. A bunch of my opponent's cards are currently missing art. The opponent says, hey, had to try. Alright, so now Exhume is symmetrical. Hey, its art came back. Meaning that I get an endurance. And I'm now going to clear my own graveyard so that my opponent can't reanimate my endurance later on. Alright, cool. Let's battle. I think things get very good for me if I dodge my opponent producing a creature this turn. Because, like, Opposition Agent shuts off a future Entomb. That's not bad either. So Endurance will crash in for 3, and then I will do an upkeep Opposition Agent. Like so. Okay, nice. Now Entomb is off. I have a 2-turn clock with a Grist backup. Ooh. Okay. That's not the end of the world. So Snuff Out is non-black creature, so I don't get to do that. They'll take my Grist. Oh, that's a gross draw. Because my opponent is probably going to trade with Opposition Agent here. And then after they do that, I'll just play another one. Yup. And we're just going to do this at sorcery speed here to not give my opponent an opportunity to cast an Entomb in response to what I'm doing. Okay, cool. That land is shut off by Opposition Agent. Assassin's Trophy is quite good here. We'll go ahead and attack in for 6, putting my opponent to 3. At this point, we've got Opposition Agent shutting off Shuffling, or Searching rather. I think we're going to go ahead and nuke a land. Sinkhole, baby. Good stuff. Also, just making sure you understand what's happening there. Its controller may search, which is why I didn't get to like see their deck with Opposition Agent, just in case that was not clear. What do I like here? I think I'll bring in the other Endurance. I think I'll bring in Witherbloom, and I'll leave myself access to kind of like this as my Living Wish tutor pool. Necromentia also probably comes in. Fatal Push, not at its best here. It does answer some of my own creatures. Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy, both kind of medium. Sylvan Library, pretty slow. Snuff Out, quite weak. Yeah, Decay's pretty niche here in terms of what it hits. I'd actually like to sideboard this out. Wasteland in? Wrist in? I think I want to be able to Living Wish for Grief. I think this feels painfully slow on the draw. I will snap mulligan that. This is a much stronger hand. I'd probably throw back land drop number 3 here. Despite the fact that I do want land drop number 3. All the other cards just feel more important. If my opponent can turn 1 with like a Thoughtseize backup, like they've just got it. Yep. Uh-huh. Goodbye, Endurance. As predicted, there's Entomb. Alright, then they've got a Grizzlebrand. I think, yeah, they immediately draw the 7, and they're just moving straight to discard. Praxa going to the bin. I don't even think it's worth thought seizing my opponent here. I think I just play a Bayou and pass. Like, the way that I win this game is by playing Witherbloom Apprentice and then top decking Chain of Smog and nothing happening to Witherbloom in the meantime, which I think is pretty unlikely. Oh, there's another draw 7. Okay, sure. And they're gone. Okay, with a Thoughtseize happening, I'm not going to have outs from here before I just get killed by Grizzlebrand and whatever comes next. On the play, Collector Oof is not crazy. A little slow on the draw. Gonna get rid of one Grist, I think. Or one of these, and then that adds one card back to the tutor package. Yes. Yeah, this is pretty legit. So, in a bit of a disaster, my opponent has revealed Chancellor of the Annex, which protects them from losing 3 of their cards on turn 1, which might actually win them the game. I'm going to play this and pass, and hope that I'm not dead. Land, Entomb, Reanimate as 3 of those, I guess, like Dark Ritual. Alright, Thoughtseize targeting me. Awkward. Going to let that just resolve. If my opponent doesn't take either Dark Ritual or Witherbloom Apprentice, I can have a kill. Oh no, I can't have the kill next turn because of the Chancellor trigger. JK, never mind. Oh, great. I'm very happy with them taking that card. Card is quite slow here, despite being powerful. Alright, so do this. Crack. I grab a basic. Cast a Dark Ritual. Pay for the tax. 3 mana. This is slightly awkward. I'm still doing it. So I will Thoughtseize a card away. And I actually don't necessarily want to hymn those into their graveyard. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. This turn didn't quite go as planned. Grist is cool. Let's go ahead and fetch. Grab a Bayou. I maybe should have grabbed a Forest. I was starting to play around moon effects a second ago, and then I just like stopped doing it for some reason. Go ahead and plus here. And start building up a board, and then I can start doing Witherbloom nonsense. Thoughtseize is fine. Lose my Witherbloom. And yeah. It's insect time, baby. This is going to attack for 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and so on and so forth. Not the best situation, but like I have insulation versus creatures. My opponent doesn't have access to red mana right now. I have some incredibly good top decks like Endurance and Opposition Agent. Alright. 2 damage. Go ahead and plus a Grist. Oh. We hit another Grist, getting 2 insects instead. And now Sylvan Library will select for my draws from here. Alright, that is a Reanimate on a Grist, which is fine. That's not super strong here. Sure. Oh, Endurance is fantastic. Yes. Go ahead and put the Forest back. I'll pay some life for this. Alright. Go ahead and fetch now. Have a Forest. How many creatures are in my graveyard? Just 2. Okay. Go ahead and sacrifice a creature. Yeah. When I do, destroy target planeswalker. And then I will ship in with 3 creatures while holding up Endurance. Alright, my opponent just takes all of that. I can go ahead and hymn them, take 2 of their 3 cards, and then Endurance them end of turn, and probably be happy enough with that. Bam. Alright, so their last card in hand is currently a Chancellor. So I know they can't have 2 insane cards here. I can go ahead and clear out my opponent's graveyard, block the insect, and then I will have lethal on my opponent's turn. I get to attack for 6 and then minus grist for lethal. Yep, opponent sees the line and has given us the GG. We had kind of a hiccup in the middle there on that like Dark Ritual Hymn to Tourach turn, but pretty happy with how that went as a whole. Okay, I have a bit of a mediocre hand that I don't think is necessarily worth throwing back. I have some early interaction or early discard. I have half a combo. I have an opposition agent. Again, it's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's probably okay. Misty Rainforest from my opponent. Let's see what they're doing. Aiga. Gonna be that damn Rhino deck. This deck has kicked my ass so many times. Like if you're playing a reasonable blue deck, I don't think this Rhino deck is that scary. And if you're playing the sorts of decks that I play, that you know, maybe lack counter magic, stack interaction, they're a little terrifying. So let's hymn my opponent, see what we get out of their hand. We took a Violent Outburst. That's the second time we've seen Dead Gone in this league. Crashing Footfall's at 3 counters. My opponent has a Spirit Guide. They can try to do nonsense again. Fuck. Danger. But yeah, one counter spell here is just so incredibly good. So now I need to kind of be going the combo direction. I need to find a Witherbloom Apprentice. I will win the game if I find Witherbloom Apprentice next turn, because I can just play it and then Chain of Smog. And like, that's that. However, my opponent could still have Force of Will or Force of Negation plus blue card as their 2 remaining cards, so that's a thing. I'm at 9. Oh, we didn't even need the Sylvan Library, baby. You know, Smog, Fatal Bush. Like, my 4 mana is spoken for. I'm dead if this goes wrong. Just put that back. We'll put that back. Yeah. Batch. I guess I can also have Dead Gone. That beats me too. Witherbloom Apprentice. Chain of Smog, target me. Poise Yield. Successful drain. Discard both. Yes to copy. Target myself. This is my opponent's moment. Oh, they don't have it. I'm going to skip ahead to them being dead. Oh, they let me do it another time. Alright, there's Force of Negation. So I guess I'm not technically dead. I trade with Shardless Agent. Or no, I am dead. Like, I can trade with Shardless Agent, go to 2, but then I can't draw both combo pieces, and I don't have any sweepers or anything. Not operating on outs from here. I mean, that's unfortunate. Looking at the cards from Sylvan Library, nothing saves me here. I will concede. Yeah, but like one counter spell there, stopping that initial wave of rhinos would be more than enough time for securing a win. Necromentia on what is it? Crashing Footfalls is actually really cute, especially when I'm on the play. My opponent's deck is fast. I don't really like how my cards line up versus their cards. Might need to play Plague Engineer for things like Minsk and Boo. I don't really want to get into a fair fight versus my opponent in the late game. I want to just combo my opponent off. Or otherwise, like, cast Dark Ritual Hymn to Tourach and have them lose the game from that. I think Decays go. I think at least 1 Endurance can probably go. Card's not necessarily at its best, and I am bringing in a couple other creatures. I'm just, like, not a fan of how our decks line up. Like, anytime they have a hand with, like, a couple pieces of mana and, like, 2 Cascade spells, I just don't disrupt it with something like a Thoughtseize. This is okay. I'm not excited about it. It has turn 2 him, followed by some interesting, like, turn 3 options, but, like, if my opponent just, like, suspends on turn 1, it's all kind of awkward for me. Yep, there it is. I don't think I fetch yet. Alright, yeah, so like... the Tourach is just kind of awkward right now, right? And I think I need this. It's like the footfalls is still coming here despite the fact that I do this. Yeah, so I hit 2 lands from my opponent. But that might, like, it's unclear if that is even going to be good enough / do anything. Ugh. So this is an awkward turn. I think I am casting Living Wish and getting a land. I think I'm just getting the Caracas preemptively for, like, Inskin Boo. I know my opponent's probably not getting that, but I also just, like, want to play double Plague Engineer on Rhino or something. Like, they're coming. Thoughtseize is not amazing. Yeah, we're going to unfortunately probably have to try to grind through a couple copies of Crashing Footfalls, and I'm just, like, not good at doing that. Like, 1 is fine, 2 is brutal. Yeah, and, like, this is not doing what I want here. So we're gonna hope that we can just, like, put this on Rhino and buy some time. The, like, Dead Gone type cards that my opponent has access to will probably just beat this, though. Okay, they don't have it immediately. Now they cast the other one. 2/3/3 Rhino's still pretty damn good. I mean, Fatal Push isn't bad. Fatal Push saves 3 damage this turn. Plague Engineer saves 2 damage this turn, but uses my mana more efficiently. I'm going to go with using my mana more efficiently. Both these go on Rhino. I could trade cleanly with both of these without taking any damage. Fatal Push a Rhino. My opponent will be left with 1/4/4. I'll just, like, vomit in my mouth if my opponent has red card plus Fury to clear both of these at the same time. Alright, they are coming in. I think I will do the 1-for-1 trades here. Everything just feels bad, though. Go ahead and pass the turn. Yes. I am in a mana bottleneck, so this is actually super helpful. Force of Negation is good to know about. Anything neat in here? What is this? Oh, it's Fire Ice with alternative art. Maddening Hex. Okay, great. I'll just take any green source. Yeah, it's just like, yeah. This is the problem here. So the Violent Outburst reveals cards, not a search. So my opponent just gets a bunch more rhinos. I take like 16 damage this turn. And the only way I win is... No, my opponent has Force of Negation, right? So Chain of Smog combo doesn't even do it for me. Gross. Well, yeah, wouldn't have gotten there anyway. Yeah, we don't have access to Sweeper here. GG's. Okay, no turn 1 play here, but I like the degree of options that I have with this hand. Right, my opponent takes 1 mulligan and calls that good. My current plan is turn to him and kind of take it from there. Oh, Bayou. I bet that takes my him very easily. The best card in my hand, with Witherbloom Apprentice probably being a decent second. But if my opponent is, say, a Dark Depths deck that needs to search their library, then they might go for the long game and nag Opposition Agent. They did not. Ho ho ho. Ho ho ho. Yeah. Let's double Bayou here. No, I think I do double Bayou. If I do one of each basics, I can't get Wastelanded. But then I can't cast a black-black or a green-green card some portion of the time if I draw another basic, and the game just doesn't, like, immediately end. Alright. Oh, the blue deck, which means it's not just safe for me to go for the combo on my turn. Oh, that sucks. I think since I lose to, like, a removal spell or a counter spell of any nature, I just can't go for it. And I try to just peck my opponent a whole bunch of times, deploy some opposition agents. If things get bad, I might go for it, but I'm trying not to. I'm really just hoping my opponent plays something that I can Abrupt Decay, drain them for 1 with this ability, and go from there. Dark Ritual. That can let me opposition agent. And Abrupt Decay. Sure. I am interested in doing this now, I think. I'm just gonna do it. Like, my opponent already knows that I have opposition agent from the early Thoughtseize. Like, opposition agent at sorcery speed can be punished by something like a Jace that just bounces it. I don't exactly know what my opponent is playing yet. Like, I don't know if they're going to be like a mid-range combo deck, something like a Lurin. I don't know if they're a hard control deck. I don't have the necessary information yet. But I can go ahead and fire in. I'm not losing to endurance in combat due to Abrupt Decay. Yep. Goodbye Graveyard. Goodbye Endurance. I'm doing like okay for now, but all it's going to take is like 1 Uro or Icefang Coatl to kind of throw a wrench into what I've got going on. Sure. Okay. Not overly excited by Living Wish as a draw. It's just going to be slow here. And I'd much rather like continue to press my onboard advantage here. I still am going to be casting it. If I had another mana, I'd pick up a Grist. Since I don't, I think I'd pick up a Witherbloom Apprentice. That gives me a guaranteed play for next turn. There's an Assassin's Trophy. Opponent was willing to take 3 more damage rather than junk that immediately. Alright. Opponent's making moves. Oh, fuck. So, my idea of this being a mid-range combo game was correct, but it's natural order for a Traxa instead of something like a Lurin. Yeah, that's gonna be really fucking good. Alright, they're playing a Trop. Strix, rid of that. Taking Force, so this is what I know of their hand. So it seems to me like I try to kill a Traxa with Assassin's Trophy. That gets forced. And then I try to win with Witherbloom Apprentice combo after that. But like, holy fucking shit, I need more mana. Like, the ability to double spell this turn is so incredibly critical. Fuck, I was so afraid of that. My opponent is confident enough in their position where they just say, I don't need this Atraxa. That's fucking horrifying. Yeah. Alright, so now they've got perfect information. I lose Witherbloom Apprentice, probably. Yep. Alright, and now this just value-oriented nonsense with things like Strix and Icefang Coatl is going to start. Burrow? What are we doing? Wrist. It's bad. That's a green creature for the next natural order as well. I think Trophy on Grist is obligatory, and I just have to hope they don't have natural order, which kind of feels like they do. They also just have a gajillion basics. Ugh. The fact that like the Chain of Smog combo is so unsafe to do versus counterspell decks is kind of a huge deal breaker in terms of its playability. Right, like if I just cast something like a Show and Tell and my opponent counters it, I'm down a Show and Tell. Whereas if I cast Chain of Smog and my opponent counters it, I'm down my entire hand. Yeah, there's the second natural order. Yep. My opponent still has Force of Will, by the way, just casually. I'm just gonna concede. Like, I know my opponent has top decked Witherbloom Apprentice beat with Force of Will already, and they're not in a life amount that I can realistically kill them before I die in combat. Oak is okay. Wrist is okay. Ceratops is okay, but probably stays in the board for Living Wish. Fatal Push can probably become a Shoulder's Edict without me batting an eye. Snuff Out misses some really important targets. I think I'm going to get rid of those for these 2 cards. My opponent presumably has like some Uros in there that care about the graveyard. Could go up another Endurance. Necessarily know that I want to. My cards look pretty okay at this point. This is an awkward hand. I can't super take advantage of Dark Ritual, and I don't have a follow-up land here. I think this one just has to be a... Anyway, great 5-card hand. I got really stuck on mana last time. I'm still throwing one of those back and one of these back, though, I think. I just am hoping to resolve an early Sylvan Library and use that to hit future land drops. Oh, give me a removal spell. Give me a removal spell. I mean, that is technically what I asked for. Can't really be mad about that. Alright, library's in play. Abrupt Decay can still take it out, though. If I get a third land drop, I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to play Opposition Agent or Grist. Like, both are very good. Okay, it is an Assassin's Trophy instead. We'll search up my other basic. Alright. Yeah. Opposition Agent has a stronger effect the earlier I play it. I'm going to play this and then play Grist afterwards. This is slower on average. I think it's fine. My opponent has done a really good job of playing around Opposition Agent this game, so I'm just going to play it on my own terms rather than, like, ending up in this really awkward mana situation. Yes. I will take an Icefang Coatl. Guess I'll take a picture of your deck, too. Cool. Fatal Push is fantastic. I'll drop my opponent to 16. I'll Fatal Push a Dryad Arbor. Play a Grist. Plus this, and pass the turn. It feels like my opponent just punted that one. Like, it's not like the game is over by any stretch of the imagination, right? Like, natural order for Atraxa or Progenitus somehow getting through is still a really big deal. All right. Land drop. Send him on in. Opponent goes to 12. Cast Witherbloom. Plus. Pass turn. Ponder's fine. Alright, there's the concession for that game. So, my opponent has 3 natural orders in their deck. 1 Grist. Relatively light on interaction. They've got 2 Abrupt Decays, 1 Assassin's Trophy, 6 counter spells, 1 Fatal Push. They have some Veil of Summers, which makes my various discard spells worse, especially on the draw. I can play Plague Engineer to get better against like Icefang, Dryad Arbor, Strix. No Uro, which I was kind of expecting. Oak doesn't necessarily hit all their lands. My board hymns out. Get better against Veil of Summer when I'm on the draw. Just play a couple more bodies of some nature to pressure my opponent's life total and some things to get their blockers out of the way. My attacks feel so much better if I'm backing them up with a removal spell. And what do I think of this? It's slow. I think I keep it though. Like, I will still have the ability to Opposition Agent before my opponent casts a natural order. I have a good mix of lands and spells, and most things that I draw are going to be good draws. Like, any 1 or 2 drop vastly improves the power level of this hand. Lands, not the best as draws. Might play Drago for a couple of turns. Ugh. Yeah, let's drop another land and pass. Alright, I don't have a Dark Ritual to power this out yet. Not a snow land. Icefang's fine. I can clean that up with Plague Engineer eventually. So I think I'm probably playing Opposition Agent first. Alright, so my opponent gets another fetch in now. Or I get to do my nonsense, which is inconvenient for me. The damage is whatever, though. Wow. 3 lands in a row? I think I play Opposition Agent on my opponent's turn. Because if they have both Endurance and Natural Order, playing Plague Engineer doesn't actually do what I need it to do here. Uh-huh. I think I cast this now before they draw the extra card. Only one snow-covered land in play, notably, which very much does matter here for the snow count for this. Notably, though, something to keep in mind is that these do count each other, as these are snow permanents themselves. The one more snow land turns both of those into Death Touchers. Alright, they are crashing in. Going to 17. And my next turn is going to be real weird in terms of like... so likely that they have a Veil. I do really want to know what they have in hand, though, because it dictates whether or not I need to play Opposition Agent or Plague Engineer, and whether or not an attack into an Endurance is something that matters. Attack into an Endurance is something that matters. I'll probably take the Endurance here, and then clear their board. There's a bit of a problem if their top card is Natural Order, if I don't play out another Opposition Agent. Yeah, I think I'm going to take Endurance. Yeah. I think I'll go ahead and attack for 3. My opponent to 15. I've already made my land drop. I'll pass the turn. They'll Abrupt Decay my Opposition Agent. Yep. And that just occurs. And I'm going to make them put the Natural Order on the stack. Yep. I just take the hit for 2 here. Alright, I'm at 13. Cast a new Opposition Agent. Living Wish is interesting. Go ahead and fetch. Grab a Forest. Cast a Living Wish. See if that's good enough for the Force of Negation. It is. And at this point, go ahead and clear the snakes. And crash in for 3 points of damage. Got a layer of insulation versus Natural Order, but like my opponent does have a removal spell, so it's not actually all that big. Decent clock, 5 then 8. There's a delta. My opponent started tapping Bayou for something and then didn't do whatever it was. Dark Ritual is not a strong draw here. I think I just have to turn stuff sideways. My opponent has 1 Endurance that could eat an Opposition Agent in combat, but it's already dying anyway to Assassin's Trophy in all likelihood. Yep. Grab a Swamp. Ooh, there is something else. Oh no, there's not. They're just fetching WoW. There's no Opposition Agent. That's fair. Alright, I am pants down to a Natural Order. There's a Strix. Pretty darn good against what I have as of right now. I'll take it. I'm going to go ahead and cast an Endurance. I believe I'm going to target myself to put these Opposition Agents back into my deck. Blocks and kills a green creature, which is kind of huge. I don't know if my opponent's supposed to play around that. Like, I'm fetching to shuffle Opposition Agents back into my deck here. 1 card from my opponent. It could be one of the 2 copies of Veil of Summer. I guess let's find out. Here's a fetch. Is their Endurance. They're going to throw a land back into my deck. I take 2 here. I would trade Plague Engineer for their Endurance. I would trade... Oh, maybe I don't attack here. It's like I just as easily could end up on the defensive if my opponent top decks a removal spell. We're now at this point where I think they're highly favored because they have cantrips and Natural Orders that I think are just stronger than most of the draws in my deck. Point made right there by that draw. Luckily, I only have 3 Dark Rituals in my deck, so once I draw my next Dark Ritual next turn, we won't have to draw a 4th one after that. Okay, that was a shuffle. I found Natural Order. Oh, that could have been worse. Yeah, that's fine. That's a Leovold, I guess. Oh, yeah, right. That makes more sense. Sure. So now they're asking me if I want to make this trade. I don't think I do. I think I need to try to do something about this Grist. It will win a... Told you, chat. Fucking called it. Alright. I just attack everything at Grist. My opponent can just crash in back for 5. I don't really know that I have much of a choice. These 3 Dark Rituals in the late game are just brutal for me. Alright. Unfortunately, I have no tricks here. I take a couple of loyalty counters off of Grist, but I'm in an awful, awful, awful situation. So my opponent just gets to kind of repeat this forever, and I think I need to assemble both of my combo pieces at the same time or die. Yeah, like this was the problem with the attack last turn, right? Is like this sort of thing could just happen. Alright. What does this do? Shifting Ceratop's not great versus active Grist. With one more green, Shifting Ceratops looks a lot better. I think I'm going this route, playing this out. Damn it. I was planning on using the Dark Rituals as a Lightning Helix. That doesn't get to happen. So now my opponent has lethal on board. They sack an insect token to Grist to kill Plague Engineer and hit me for 4. That was a really interesting game. I'll make them do it. Like, I still have 3 cards in hand. And, like, it's possible they play around some stuff. Yeah, okay. We're gonna just show our stuff here. Again. And one last time. And with 9 black mana in our mana pool, we will concede. GG. Alright, I'm playing against a Yorion deck, which actually makes my hand noticeably worse, because like I have this Thoughtseize and a Hymn to Tourach thing, which is really good if my opponent just doesn't have extra card advantage sitting in the command zone. I don't know that this hand is a mulligan though, I'll keep it. Alright, not D&T. We're probably playing against some sort of 3 or 4 color blue mid-range pile. Let's try to punch a hole in their plans. Okay. I'll take Brainstorm. So I know exactly the contents of my opponent's hand. They get to make land drops, that's it. I need to fetch basics here, so their Wasteland does not get additional value. Which is super awkward, because then I can't actually cast Endurance next turn. Without... Yeah. Okay. I will now hit the Wasteland off the Hymn, so this becomes just a non-issue. Alright, they drew an Icefang Coatl. I hit another one, and the Field of the Dead. Now their Wasteland has taken me off curve, which is just honestly horrific for me. And there's Yorion to hand. Opposition Agent is not bad. That at least gives me a play for this turn, and I can Endurance next turn. I don't want to play this out early because my opponent has Swords to Plowshares. Alright, that's fine. I will play this out now. Yep, that's fine. I use the swords. I probably just Living Wish for my Magecraft Tutor, play it out, and try to win next turn. I think I'm good with that. Witherbloom Apprentice, pass turn. Again, though, I hate this combo versus any blue deck, because if they just have, like, a Force of Will or whatever, then I just lose for attempting my combo. Alright, they've got a Snow-Covered Forest for later. I'll take a little damage. I guess I can fetch another basic here before I do the thing. Yeah. Fetch. Swamp. Go ahead and cast an Endurance. Dunk your graveyard. And attempt a win. It's stopped by a decent amount of stuff, though. I discard. I copy. Same targets. Alright, my opponent has another swords. Yep. So now, yes, I will copy this. I'll target my opponent this time. So they lose their Yorion, but I'm probably just dead to this initiative card. This combo is like very all in. Once you do it, like your opponent usually gets at least a 2-for-1 for you attempting the combo. And life's bad. I don't think I get to block here. Oh shit, sorry, this was not actually death touchy. Did get to block there. That matters too. So I sack my endurance, blow up the giant creature. Um, if I had killed this last turn, I would have gotten to keep a grist. I still think I'm just losing the game to the initiative stuff beyond that, but I would be in a much better position. All right, goodbye grist. Yeah, with that top deck, I think never winning the game from there. Yeah. My opponent draws another card, and I honestly should just concede. I'm not gonna be like Throne of the Dead 3 Grist to active creatures on my empty board. I'm gonna save myself the time here. All right, Oak's okay. I think I leave this in the board. My opponent's probably an Uro deck. Eldritch Edicts and Plague Engineers are probably playable. Decay misses some stuff. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm going to try some of these other things that are removal spell over push, I think. And I'm happy or happy adjacent with this, I think. Maybe leave one endurance in the board to wish for. My hand's nothing special. I'll probably keep it. We'll be starting the game on my 2 basics for sure. We'll just kind of see how things play out. Yep. We'll play this. I kind of expect it to just beat a removal spell or a counter spell. That's fine. New Force of Will art? What just got pitched? An Omnoth with alternate art. Got it. Opposition agent is pretty dirty here. We'll just go ahead and pass the turn. Really awkward if my opponent plays another fetch land here. Oop, but they didn't. Pass this. Blah. Pitched Leovold that time. Alright, so they were just fetching. Bit of an awkward Living Wish situation. I guess let's cast it and see if it resolves as a starting point. It does. Do I just get Shifting Ceratops for next turn? Or Grist? I think I'll get Grist. I kind of have to just chill here, though. Like, this is my turn 4. I can't make a 5th land drop to play this. Got a Shoulder's Edict that I'll pretty aggressively cast on just about anything to try to keep Grist on an empty board. Yeah, I will absolutely just junk that. Sure. And while my opponent has no mana available, we'll go ahead and do this. Grab a new swamp. Sacrifice a non-token creature. Bam. So this is my opponent's chance to cast something big and dumb before I cast something big and dumb. Ooh. I'll do this first. Right? I don't know. The sooner the Grist is in play, the better, though. Like, the Grist will be very noticeably better versus, say, a spot removal spell. Let's go ahead and do this first. Really tempting to just, like, end of my opponent's turn opposition agent into this, though. So my opponent has fewer chances to use their mana on my stuff. All right, that's Yori into hand. I might get a fetch land or two with this. All right, yeah. Yeah. Coming in with an insect. All right, opponent's at 16. All right. Well, opposition agent. My opponent will get to fetch with this fetch land. Okay, they have swords. Sure. This current situation is fine, though. Like, if they just fetch and play Yorion on... Oh, no, that's not what it is. Sure, so they're going to try to accrue some extra value first before playing Yorion. That's fine. A bird's fine. That's interesting. I don't think I have to kill this bird for any reason. Let's attack in with both of these creatures. Opponent goes to 12. Just continue to put plus Grist. Don't need to make this land drop. I'll just hold that. Ooh. Actually, my opponent doesn't have that many different names right now. I think I just take out this Field of the Dead. Don't need to do it yet. I guess there could be some random weird counterspell. I'll do it now. Now their abundant growth happens. They draw a card. We'll go ahead and minus this, sacrifice one of these, blow up Yorion, and attack my opponent for 2. They're at 10. I think I just sorcery speed this. I don't want it Force of Willed. Like just one for one card Force of Willed. I think it's worth telegraphing to play around that. If my stuff's already on board, Force of Will becomes like the sort of card that you would want to like shuffle away. I assume is what my opponent is going to do with this Ponder. Yep. A new Grist is a bit of an awkward draw. Not a bad one. A bit of an awkward one, but not bad. I'm absolutely just going to send in. Going to make my opponent have stuff here. That'll trade with my opposition agent. My opponent still takes some damage here. Goes to 8. Go ahead and just continue plussing this. And we'll hold these other 2. A new Ice Fang. Sure. Again, at the end of the day, my opponent doesn't actually have all that many removal spells, so it's not like they can just like remove forever. They have Primeval Titan. They took the Field of the Dead. Yes, they do have Primeval Titan. Double Wasteland is annoying, but not actually a real problem. My Grist gets packed again. Sure. Go ahead and minus this. Sacrifice this. Destroy Primetime. Attack my opponent for 2 more damage. Put them to 6. Cast Plague Engineer. Put that on Snake. It's possible I'm supposed to just play Grist and plus it here to further put the pressure on my opponent and make it easier to go wide. It gives up some value on my end. My mana is going to be a little tighter from here. I think I'm okay with that. Go ahead and just plus. And we're just trying to go wide of my opponent for the last couple of points of damage. There is a Prismatic Ending. This is exactly the sort of thing that punishes the line that I just took. It doesn't matter unless they play a very large creature as follow-up. Okay, yeah, they get the initiative creature here. Oh, they've got Uro. Sure. In which case you overpaid for your Uro. You could have wastelanded me a second time. Sure. Here is 5 damage. Bringing my opponent to 4. I'll play a Witherbloom and pass. Uro definitely keeps my opponent alive. We're gonna go to 7. Yeah, this is a little annoying. Just draw a Chain of Smog and end this game, please. Alright, sure. There's a Brainstorm. And that is a slightly late Endurance. I probably have to hold this back, get rid of the Uro, and then at the end of combat, Endurance Uro out of their graveyard or something like that. Means no attack this turn. Okay, another Ice Fang, which is just literally draw a card since I have Plague Engineer in play. Like, they're probably, yeah. Seems like it's fine to just wait on playing that card. Alright, block with Plague Engineer to Death Touch that away. End of combat. Cast Endurance. Alright, they had the Force of Will. I'm going to go ahead and just fetch a land out of my deck and F6 the rest of this turn. Okay, so now they can escape Uro after fetching, assuming they have another basic. Which doesn't seem like they did. Or if they have something else that they need to hold up. There's a Veil of Summer. That's fine. At this point, I think I have to attack into a potential creature. I am in a very bad spot, so like if my opponent has Endurance, I think I just have to feed them this creature. Okay, it was Swords to Plowshares instead. That's fine. Yeah, like my opponent goes to 6, but like they get an Uro. I worked myself into a spot where I could beat the Uro, but their Force of Will was a huge problem. So like now I have to do that same thing again. This is all kind of like going back to that Prismatic Ending spot where I gave up a card trying to end this game, and then the prismatic ending got more value than it needed to get. Alright, well, let's see what we can do with this. It's another counterspell. I was going to be able to get Caracas to deal with Uro. I think this is one of those times where the game is very much over and it just like takes 7 more turns for me to die. Just take that hit to the face. I'll go to 18 for 3. Hot 4. Undermountain Adventurer seems insane here. Okay, they're gonna Endurance target themselves so they can set themselves up to find Field of the Dead or whatever. Okay, sure. Okay. Okay. I'm comfortable valuing my time and just conceding here. GG's, that's a 1-4 league. Alright, that's it. That's the end of the league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I don't like it. I think it is a fool's errand to try to be playing Living Wish in Legacy. The toolbox aspect is not particularly strong. It's just like so slow to take a turn off to tutor for a card in Legacy, when the normal rate for drawing cards is sometimes free with things like baubles and street wraiths and whatnot, or 1 mana in the form of your ponders, your brainstorms, and whatnot. And since this deck frequently isn't going to get to 4 mana to like play Living Wish and do a second thing in a turn, like your Living Wish is your entire turn, and when you see you have 21 2-drops in the deck, like you're often going to be wasting a turn in order to make this work. More generally, the Witherbloom Apprentice combo is not great. It just folds to any interaction. You can build a somewhat respectable, like all-in Witherbloom Apprentice turbo deck list that like tutors for it with protection and more discard spells to force it through. But when it's just a part of your deck list, it feels pretty medium. Like, I think I went for roughly 3 Witherbloom Apprentice kills that were just disrupted, and that left me very far behind. In terms of other things with this deck list, it's very pip intensive. Like, your Dark Rituals don't get full value. You have some really cool lines like Dark Ritual Thoughtseize Him, Dark Ritual Opposition Agent, but when you start getting into a lot of the Witherbloom Apprentice Grist lines, they're just not as good. And in terms of the tempo hit you take to like Living Wish for a combo piece, it's huge. And if you ask me, like, what is this deck good against? It's not fast combo. I'm not faster than them. It's not control. I can't outgrind them. It's probably not the mid-range decks. They have a bunch of things like your Swords to Plowshares that are just going to disrupt this combo. So I don't think this ends up being good against anything. Like, this was an attempt to make a playable Living Wish deck, but as with pretty much every other Living Wish deck that exists in Legacy, like you're lowering the tier of your deck list by a tier by putting Living Wish into your deck. Like, it was a fun league. The games were interesting and engaging, but I didn't really ever feel like I was playing the better deck. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya.